I had no idea who Ruffus the dog is. I'd never heard of the character, but I love watching A Christmas Carol. I discovered Ruffus the Dog's A Christmas Carol. I decided to give it a watch. This was released in 2011, and it is a special as part of the Ruffus the Dog series. And Ruffus the Dog and the other characters are all puppets. I'm not the biggest fan of puppet-based shows, but again, I love A Christmas Carol, so I decided to check this out. It was released in 2011, and it is an absolute delight. We have a little bit longer setting up than I would like, but I am aware that maybe the intro would mean more to people who are actually fans of Ruffus the Dog. So I'm well aware that it might be the case that actually it's quite an entertaining introduction. But for me, the fun started once we actually got into A Christmas Carol, which I'd say was about 5 minutes into it, and the whole thing is just over half an hour. And it is fabulous. The dialogue very closely follows the story of A Christmas Carol, so if you're a big fan, you've seen a lot of adaptations, and you don't like versions where they stray too far from the classic version, this one is going to be really satisfying. The puppetry work is very good. I'm assuming it's the same quality as the rest of the Ruffus the Dog series. And the costumes are adorable. They're so, so cute. And the special effects are pretty good. Because obviously we have puppets who are playing the role of ghosts. And I think they handled those characters really well. We have a couple of scenes I'm not a huge fan of. Mostly anything that takes us out of the main narrative. And I don't love some of the special effects when we travel through time when we're visiting the Christmases of past, present, and yet to come. The past and the yet to come, certainly I don't like how they were framed. That wasn't particularly to my liking, but I wouldn't exactly say I didn't enjoy it visually. So there were some things here and there I didn't love, some style choices that didn't appeal to me, but in general, it is well put together, it is well edited. We have some really fun characters in this. None of the characters, the puppets, I mean, none of them mean anything to me, of course, but based purely on my introduction to Ruffus the Dog, I feel like the puppets visually all very well went with the role that they were chosen. Of course, if you've got a relationship with these characters, you might think differently, but for me, everything worked well in that regard, and I rather enjoyed it. It was quite it was quite funny as well. One joke in particular made me laugh out loud, mostly because I wasn't expecting it, and I wasn't expecting any kind of contemporary humour. This is actually the bit before things start off, so while I said I didn't love the intro, I did actually laugh out loud at one point, and it's the joke about segueing. I won't explain it, but I found that to be very funny. So actually, the intro might not have been that great, but it did make me laugh, so I guess I can't complain. If you're a fan of A Christmas Carol, definitely check out Ruffus the Dog's Christmas Carol. I can confirm you don't need any prior knowledge of Ruffus the Dog to follow this, to understand this. I found it to be an absolute delight, really charming, and a really fun way to discover or rediscover Dickens's A Christmas Carol. Obviously, if you've never seen A Christmas Carol, if you've never read it, I wouldn't recommend this as your introduction, mostly because there are many others that I'd recommend first, but at the same time, if you're a fan of Ruffus the Dog, you've never seen a version of A Christmas Carol, it might be a reasonable one to start with. But if you're new to Ruffus the Dog, maybe not so much. Either way, Ruffus the Dog's Christmas Carol was an absolute delight, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it.